So we can start studying the model that we have here. It is a structure with many repeating or same duplicating items. For example, this section of a bridge, roll top and arch here. Okay, but this is one big piece. And then there are some groups of the columns, the poles that we have. And of course there are some that haven't been grouped together, but they are literally the same thing except being put into, well, on your left you can see in the list being put into groups, but they are individual objects here that we have. So then the first thing we do, we look at whether we want to break this group into objects and animate them one by one, or is there a need? Maybe it's not needed. Then we can just do like a move. Say for example, just slap this whole group of columns back in, or we want to animate them like so, one by one, 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth shortest one here. So the first thing I want to do is not break the groups. So we have two hierarchies here, the groups and the individual object, and I am going to go into that component mode, which is the number 4, the polygon mode. I'll call them face mode, and select the face that I want to separate it from to better prepare this model for animation. I'm gonna just detach this into another independent object, second one, third one. Well, it depends on how many you want to do. I'm gonna do 4, and that's fine. That's good enough. Okay, so this model is well prepared, I would say, by now for animation. The first thing you want to do is go into your time configuration on the lower right hand corner. First thing is that this project is based in a Perl region, so we change to Perl. Well, it depends on where you live or what your project is, where you're serving. So I'm in the Perl area, so it's Perl for me. You really have to plan your animation out really well, because what we're going to do is in reverse. We will record the way it's taking apart, and then when we play it like normally, and then it would appear to be constructing itself. So I would rather be generous on the numbers of the end time than to have a negative frame number in the future. If say I work my way from back to front, so if I have not enough insufficient frame numbers from the end to the start, then what I'm forced to do is extend beyond the left of the timeline, and that goes into negative number territory, which is really bad for, not for 3D Studio Max, but for your post-production. So I encourage you to shoot off more than enough. So I put 15 seconds worth of frame numbers, so that's 375 frames, to imagine or plan out or visualize in your mind which block you want to lay down last. So this is the thing, like when you get on a school bus, the first kid gets on first, but of course it sits to the back of the bus, and then the last kid gets in last but sits in the front of the bus. And when they get off, the last kid gets out first, and first one in is last one out. So this is exactly the same idea. So we work from the end to the start. So the last block you want to lay down will be the first one you work on to keyframe 4. That means for the whole thing, the opposite, this small guy, this half session guy, will be the last to be laid down on the bridge to finish it up with. But when we do it in reverse order, of course, we start with this guy, and my job is to really space it out. Well, I'm talking about time and space here. How fast you want to put it in, how or what direction you're gonna move that in. And of course I'm talking about position too here. That means it's moving in, it's not rotating in, it's not scaling up. Well, I could use any of these, because as I said, WER, 3 of these, either one work. I could use a combination of 3 of them or 2 of them, but just to keep it simple, I'm just gonna move it this time. And so I'm starting at 325. Can I find it? Or maybe I'll just type in 325 right there. So I have 50 frames off to the for the rest of the time, and that's 2 seconds. Okay, first thing is, you always follow this order. It's tedious, I know, but it's best that you follow this formula and orderly manner. Select your object, because every object is independent and all the keyframes are separated by node. 3D Studio Max is a node-based software. That means object-oriented. Okay, and second thing is you turn on set key. If you want to move something, just move it before you set key, because everything's done in under this red alert, this recording. Oh my god, it's recording now. Okay, every move you do under this red frame is going to be recorded, and if you mess up, it's going to be recorded and it messes up forever, and then it's so hard to fix after that, and you might even lose some data. Okay, so now I go in and do a set key. Wait a minute, you would ask, well, but you haven't done anything. Yes, and exactly, that's where I want to do a keyframe now, because before I move anything, I need to record where it originally seated, and this is the final resting place for this section or this object here, because we are doing it in reverse. You cannot remind yourself enough. You have to remind yourself like all the time that we are doing things in reverse order. Okay, so anything that is being moved from out of place to place, you have to keep keyframe in place first and take it out. It's a lot easier because it's already there. Why not do it? Why not just record that? So what I'm doing right now is keep clicking the previous frame, of course counting in my mind that how many frames I want to move forward, because that dictates the exact speed or time in space, how fast that object moves. It's the whole quality of the motion of the animation. And if you're good at math, I would suggest you that type in the correct number, but if you're not, just count. Okay, so 12 frames is half a second, because we are on the 25 FPS now, frame per second, and I think 12 is a good number, so it will be 313 for my first move, or I can press this for 12 times. Well, anyway, I've moved the time. So the third step is you move the time to a desired frame number, and then you do the changes. So this is going to be easy. I am not doing it too fancy in a way. So it's just going to move from far distance. How far? Well, far enough that you could lose it with your camera, so then audience doesn't see where it came from, and just like that. There's your animation. You could play to get the real time, but I'm gonna just move on to the next one. With the overlapping principle, I do not wait until the previous object to snap into place before I move the one before it. Well, remember, this is the one before it, but not after. Reverse order, remember that. So that's about, well, it doesn't have to be all that accurate though. I just eyeball it. So the first one is like halfway done coming in, and then I key my second one, and -12, so I can't do math. 308 right? And pretty much do the same thing. Doesn't matter where it stops. Far enough is good, as long as you don't see it coming. You don't see where exactly it's coming from. It's just waiting there like an idiot. Okay, keep doing that, repeating that, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and same deal. You just repeat that to get to the whole section or the whole surface of the roll on the bridge.